Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, today this video is going to be the beginning of the geologic assessment. So in one of the previous videos, we showed me following this excavator up to the top of the property, or not the top of the property, I apologize. It's actually just the upper meadow. It's quite a bit further and it gets much steeper after this. So this is pretty high in the property, and so the engineer, the geologic engineer, between us we selected 16 locations to excavate some ditches, some holes about 9 feet deep, and to see just what the soil consistency is and what we run into during the time. So what you're going to see is some video of the excavation occurring on the site, and because this machine operator, I think, had limited experience working on a slope and working with an excavator, he had challenges, and he came with pretty much an empty tank of fuel. So we only got the first hole dug and a little bit of the second hole dug. And so the following day after we left, hopefully they were able to get back there and do the rest of the 16 holes. There's a couple of instruments. Well, there's a couple of things that are being done during the geologic study. First is how far can we dig down without hitting bedrock. Another thing is doing a soil analysis. So as the hole is being excavated, Will, the young man in purple or maroon, he's going to get in and out of the trench at various depths and do a couple of things. He's going to get soil samples from the location, and this particular hole is our first hole, so you're going to see a sandy, loamy material coming out. There will be some chert, and then we get down into some clay as we get further down. Each one of these, now they'll do a professional analysis, and I'll give you my ideas about the things. The other thing is you'll see Will is holding an instrument, and that instrument is a dynamic cone penetrometer, and it's really a steel shaft, a steel bar with a case-hardened cone a pointed end of a certain radius. So I think it's about, I'm not certain what the radius is. And then there's the outer part of this DCP, and that outer part has a very specific weight, and what Will do is lift that outer part up that goes over the steel bar and let it go. And he's very good at this. You can watch his technique in the video. And as he lets it go, it's going to tend to drive the point into the soil. Now, the ideal circumstances are that it takes many percussions in order to make minimal depth. So the harder the soil, the better the chances of being load-bearing for our buildings. So those are my thoughts. So let me see, is there anything else I wanted to say? Yeah, it's a 60-degree cone tip with a sliding hammer, similar to what you've seen me use with driving fence posts in the past. So the less that the shaft is driven into the soil with the same number of percussions, the better off. The more solid the ground, the more easy it is, the more capable it is of supporting a large structure. And they'll convert this to, I'm not sure what they'll do for certain, but sometimes what they'll do is the California system to make sure that the soil can withstand it. So they'll do some calculations with that. Let's see, I wrote some notes here. Engineers calculate how many pounds per square foot the soil can safely support without excess settlement. and I guess the range is somewhere between 1,500 and 3,000 pounds per square foot. The 3,000 pounds per square foot sounds a lot better than the 1,500 for the structures we're building there. The other thing is the materials. So that I mentioned that there's sandy loam. Generally, that's a pretty much an excellent substrate. It compacts very, very well. The sand in it allows moisture to travel through it pretty well. In the second hole, right off the bat, we start getting into clay. And clay, if it's kept dry, is a good structure, is a good material to build on. But if it's on, if it's in an area where the clay can get wet, the clay is going to expand. And if the clay expands, well, that could be issues with the foundation and the house shifting and all. So we really need to check for water as these structures are being built. And again, there's springs on this property, and they're subterranean. So that clay, the moisture content of the clay is also important as well. So you see that Will is taking the samples, putting them in baggies, labeling them, which excavation site is being excavated, the bag represents, and what depth that soil was taken from as well. There's also chert, and you'll see it isn't really shown very well, but Todd has the camera right now. That's me, the back of me, standing there with my Carhartts and my gray shirt and goofy hat. So Todd will pick up a piece of chert, and that's just a crystalline, a silicon type crystal formation, and that's chert, C-H-E-R-T. What else? I think that's about it. So that's my limited understanding of the whole process. And after George he's the engineer, after he has all the data back from the soil samples and the DCP, the dynamic cone penetrometer readings, then he'll say, geez, these sites that we want to build on, they're either good or there's better places to do it. So anyways, I guess that's about it. And so what you're going to see now is some video footage of the whole process. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And I appreciate you folks watching as well.
Really?
I had a little bit of service when I come through that little pass there. Yeah. And they didn't tell me that the machine was about out of fuel either. Oh, jeez, that's good
Looks like I got a visitor. Surprised you're not prepared. You should have brought a rope. Have you checked out the soil? I mean, it looks really sandy to me.
Yeah, it's a sandy, which is different. There's some quartz on there. So the limestone has some of that quartz in it.
Oh, I see.
You threw a chunk right over there. There's a chunk of quartz right there. Significant amount of clay in this one. We're in the upper meadow now. Do you try to get samples like every couple of feet, or?
Usually, mostly, less of a depth thing sometimes.
Yeah.
More just getting all the soils. So if
Yeah.
we had a soil transition, getting to something else,
Yeah.
I'll take another sample. For this though, where it's all been pretty consistent, just the one for so far, I think.
It's all pretty much clay in this, and ain't it?
Yeah, pretty clayey right here. Still got some chert in it, but not nearly as much so far. And not the big nodules, but that can be that way. A lot of times they'll form in zones, like a fracture zone or something like
Yep.
that. Appreciate it. Should have thrown this out
Yeah.
first.
That's
We get too deep.
That's limestone, yeah.
Yeah, that's just a giant piece of chert right there. It's a flint nodule,
Oh,
which it'll be in the limestone. A lot of
Yeah.
limestones, it'll grow in that. But they tend to stick around longer than the limestone does when it goes to weathering, because they're mostly just quartz.
right.
Pretty good, ain't it? Pretty good.
Seems pretty solid.
Yeah, it's pretty stiff. Definitely good. No real moisture problems yet either. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A lot of times I'll just have to fish.
We bought this patch of hillside ground, dreaming big and looking around. Talked of orchards, ponds, and sheep, cabins tucked where the maples sleep. But every trail and every bend feels like something we don't yet understand. He smiled slowly and tipped his hat, said, "Son, there's more to it than that. This land's been talking long before. Have you ever walked through that gate and door? You don't start with nails and plans first. You learn the lay of the land. You gotta read the land first. Learn the rivers and the rain. Watch where the frost falls down at night and where the water stays.
Every ridge and every hollow, every field and line of pine.
The good Lord drew a map out there. If you take the time, yeah, the best homesteads ain't for forced by hand. You gotta read the land. How do you know where roads should go, or where the garden rose will grow? Why is one hill green while another dries? Why is there fog down low at sunrise?
Water always heads downhill, and bad roads wash where men lack skill. South slopes wake up first each spring, cold air settles in the lowland rings. Every contour, rocking tree tells a story if you learn to see.
You gotta read the land first, learn the snow and summer heat,
Watch where the milk runs off too fast,
and where the roots run deep.
every valley, every hillside, every dark, rich line of soil.
The earth will tell you what it needs before you waste your time. Yeah, the best homesteads ain't forced by hand. You gotta read the land. Old yeomans knew what folks forgot. The land ain't something you
Conquer a bar.
slow the water, spread it wide, let life come back beneath the sky.
Good soil grows from patient hands,
not from fighting with the land. So before we build, we watch and wait. Learn the seasons before it's too late. That's exactly right, he softly said.
walk it when the creek runs red,
Walk it after the winter snow.
watch where springtime waters go.
The strongest roots take time to stand. That's how you build upon the land. You gotta read the land first, before the barns and orchard rows,
Before the tractors and the roads,
and all a young heart knows.
listen closely and walk it slowly.
After drought and after rain,
And what you build with care and time
will long remain. Yeah, the best homesteads grow hand in hand with the rhythm of the land. You don't really own this earth, my friends. You just learn to walk beside it.